Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're cracking the code on the RRB Junior Engineer exam. We're going to break down the exact strategy that toppers use to absolutely dominate that critical first hurdle, CBT1.
So, let's start with the one thing every successful candidate agrees on. They all call Stage 1 a game changer. And why is that? Well, it's because your score here isn't just about getting to the next round. Nope, it literally determines which jobs you're even allowed to compete for later on.
And here's what makes this stage so tough. You're not just up against other engineers. You're competing against people who are absolute experts in these non-technical subjects. Folks coming from exams like the SST-CGL who've spent years mastering this stuff.
So, how in the world do you get an edge? Well, we've boiled down the entire Topper playbook into a 5-step game plan. We're going to cover the exam blueprint, decor strategy, smart subject prep, what score you need to win, and then wrap up with your final checklist. Okay, first things first, you can't win the game if you don't know the rules, right? So let's break down exactly what the CBT1 exam looks like.
The whole thing is 100 questions, and you can see right here, mathematics and general science are the two heavy hitters. They make up a whopping 30% of the paper each. General intelligence and reasoning is right behind at 25%, and then general awareness comes in at 15%.
And here's the full breakdown. It's simple. One question, one mark, for 100 marks total. But here's the catch. You only have 90 minutes to do it all. That means your time management has to be perfect. So, knowing all that, how do the top performers actually approach this exam? Well, it all comes down to one simple idea. Work smarter, not harder.
Now this slide right here is where the magic really happens. Toppers treat their study time like an investment. You've got your high-return subjects like mathematics and reasoning. Why? Because with enough practice, you can genuinely aim for a perfect score. And then you've got your low-return subjects like general awareness. It has a massive, endless syllabus, all for just 15 little marks.
And that thinking leads directly to this study priority. This order is absolutely crucial. The winning formula is to first, master your mathematics. Second, perfect your reasoning skills. Then, thoroughly cover general science. And only after all that do you selectively, and I mean selectively, study general awareness. Okay, so let's zoom in on the two sections that need the most strategic thinking: general science and that vast, intimidating ocean we call general awareness. You know, for general science, the advice from toppers is incredibly straightforward. First, build your foundation solid as a rock using the 9th and 10th grade NCERT textbooks. Once you've got those concepts down, you move on to step 2. Just practice, practice, practice with previous year's questions from all the recent railway exams. General awareness, though, that is a completely different beast. People call it an ocean for a reason. If you try to learn everything, you are gonna drown. So the key here isn't to go deep. It's to be selective and focus only on factual, high-yield topics.
So, what does selective actually mean when it comes to current affairs? It means you ignore all the noise and you zero in on these high-value targets. We're talking sports news about Indian athletes, major awards, key government appointments, new schemes, and of course updates from ISRO and DRDO.
And the same exact principle applies to the big static subjects. For history, you don't need to know everything. Just focus on modern history, and specifically the Gandhian era. For polity, nail down the Constitution, fundamental rights, and the Panchayati Raj system. This laser-focused approach is how you conquer that ocean.
All right, we've got the strategy down. Now let's talk about what really matters, the numbers. What score do you actually need to be aiming for to lock in your spot for Stage 2?
So, if you look at past exams, the general cutoff usually floats around the 70-mark range. But, and listen to this carefully, every single topper will tell you that just aiming for the cutoff is a very dangerous game.
Top performers are consistently scoring much, much higher. For example, a lot of successful candidates are getting raw scores in the high 70s. Think 77 or 78, and that's before normalization even kicks in to adjust for different exam difficulties.
So what's the real target? The number you should have plastered on your wall? It's 85 or more. That's your safety net. That's the score that opens up the maximum number of opportunities for you in CBT2. Aiming for 85 plus means you don't just qualify. You qualify for everything.
This brings us to a huge decision you're going to have to make again and again during those 90 minutes. You're stuck on a question, you're torn between two options. Do you take a risk and guess, or do you play it safe and just skip it?
And the answer from every single topper is unanimous. You have to avoid negative marking at all costs. Think about it this way. If you're stuck between two options, that's a signal. It's a signal that your revision for that topic isn't quite there yet. It is always safer to skip and protect the marks you've already earned.
All right, let's pull this all together. Here is your final checklist, the entire game plan to help you ace the RRB JE CBT 1 exam.
Here it is, your winning game plan. Prioritize maths and reasoning. Go for those perfect scores. For science, just stick to NCERT and past papers. Be absolutely ruthless and selective with general awareness. Aim high for 85 plus to keep all your doors open. And please, when in doubt, just skip, because you have to remember, CBT 1 is the gateway to every single post in Stage 2.
And that's the topper strategy for the RRB JE CBT 1. So we'll leave you with one final question to guide your prep. Your time is limited, so where are you going to invest it for the absolute highest return?